Well, hello everyone. So basically I'm just doing kind of an update video today. A lot of stuff has been happening, so I don't even know where to start. I guess from the beginning. So on Sunday, my dad got into a little fender bender and bumped his head. He's okay, but they're kind of, because of his age and everything, they're just kind of, you know, making sure, because he's a little confused at times. So basically, they just want to make sure that there's no serious or ongoing problems or anything like that as far as the bump on his head. But he's good. He's in good spirits. He's a little aggravated. He's in the hospital, but and I hate to say this, but it's true. It's actually a really good thing that he got in a little tiny fender bender, because I went to go pick up the car because they took him in an ambulance because, you know, he was a little confused after the bump on his head. And so, you know, after we found out about it, my mom took me up there and I drove the car home, and I noticed that the steering was kind of catching, and like it just, you know, something was off. Like it was pulling to the right, and I thought, you know, maybe because of the accident, but the accident wasn't really that bad. So, I mean, there's, you know, there's definitely damage on the car, but, you know, and he hit a parked car, so nobody else was involved. And, you know, as bad as things are, that's as good as it possibly could happen for a bad situation. But the reason I say it's probably a very good thing that he got in a little bump is, I took it over to a friend of mine's shop, and we put it on a lift, and got to looking at underneath the car, and I don't know exactly who or what, and we're going to figure it all out later. But I guess there's a cradle that holds the engine in the car. So the engine bolts to this big piece of metal, and then this big piece of metal bolts up to the bottom of the car to hold everything in. You know, so instead of pulling the engine up through the hood, you can unbolt it and pull it down underneath the car on a cradle. You know, it's basically like a subframe or something like that. Well, we got to looking up underneath there, and most of the bolts were either loose or have completely fallen out of the car. And when I'm saying there was 22 bolts, I think we counted, and I think, you know, like 2 of them were tight. There were 6 or 7 that was loose, and there was like 5 or 4 or 5 that was just completely missing, that fell out of the car. And there's 4 bolts that bolt the engine to the cradle. 1 was tight, 1 was loose, 2 were missing. So there was 1 bolt holding the whole engine in. And then there was, hold on. Sorry, there's traffic in front of me. I'm trying not to get into a bump. And then there's 4 bolts that held the cradle, and 1 was tight, 1 was sort of, I mean, it was loose, and 1 was loose, hanging that far down below where it's supposed to be. Like, we just twisted that one by hand, and then 1 was missing. And then, you know, like the shocks were loose. So I don't know if he was working on the car. I don't know if he had a friend or what. I don't know the whole situation. So I don't know who's been working on his vehicle. And it really doesn't matter at this point. But the thing about it is, if he didn't get into this little fender bender, nobody would have known it. And he could have been driving at 50, 60, 70 miles per hour, and the whole front end of the car fall apart, which could have been a lot worse. So, you know, as bad as this little situation is, it's a blessing that, you know, it didn't become a lot worse than what it was. So I'm going to be helping out my mom this week. She's going to be, my mom and my sister is going to be taking care of him at the hospital. I have a tendency not to work out well in hospitals. People don't like me too much in there. So whenever a family member ends up going into the hospital, you know, kind of the thing that I do is I make sure that, you know, the house and everything's taken care of. And so I'll be, you know, taking care of the dog and kind of just letting my mom take care of him. Susan's going to help out, well, my sister, and then I'll be kind of, you know, making sure things are nice at the house and everything else. So But that's kind of what's been going on. So, in other news, you know, I've had to reschedule a couple little things that I wanted to do. There's a couple people that wanted me to, you know, since I really don't have any work right now, it's, you know, a couple of people have popped up and said, hey, you know, can you knock this out for me since you have nothing to do? And I'm like, yeah, you know, so but everything kind of got put on hold right there, at least until next week. And then I'm just trying to, like, in between doing that, like tomorrow I'm going to go over and cut the grass because it needs to be cut and he's not going to be doing it. So I'm going to go over and take care of that, little things like that. But in between that, I'm just trying to move out of storage units. I got one I'll be out of either tonight or tomorrow morning, depending on the weather. And then the unit 1, which I think you guys seen, the one I had the problem with the rats, it's just about empty. And I was going to see if I can, you know, because I was going to just empty it out altogether. Oh, someone else got bumped. Oh no, that's fire. That's not ambulance. That's somebody. Don't do it. I was watching. Sorry, I'm trying to deal with traffic. Anyways, I was gonna. A friend of mine's been needing a bigger storage unit, and you know, I talked to him and I said, hey, you know, I got one coming available, but I talked with the owner, and he said he had a list of people waiting. So if I give it up, it has to go to people on the list. I can't just, you know. So I told him I understood, you know. So, but that's, you know. So now I'm not sure, you know, if you know, I was going to give it up for him. Now I don't know if I want to give it up because it's one of the best units in the facility, and I was going to give it up just so he could have it. But now I'm like, eh. So if I keep it, that means I gotta empty out 2 to 3 storage units in that one big one. So, which is still the same thing. I actually save more money by doing it that way. It's just more work. So, but I think that's the update for now. You know, a couple videos ago, I'm all hype and everything else, and now I'm like, you know, crap. Now what am I gonna do? So, but the plan is, you know, we keep moving forward. We take the good with the bad with the good. We never stop. We never stop progressing. No matter what happens, you know, we're gonna make it work. And you know, it may not be easy, but it's gonna be the best we can do for who we can do. Luckily, we got a pretty good family, and we all kind of rally up whenever we need to. So. I think that's it for right now. So, and if anybody, you know, for whatever reason, you know, like, you know, thank you in advance for any well wishes for him or any prayers for him. Thank you in advance. I don't know how much has been put on Facebook. I'm not really on Facebook that much, so I don't know how much of the family knows, and you know, and there's things that I'm not saying to protect, you know, privacy, but I'm just giving you a very brief summary of kind of what's been going on. So basically, I painted you enough of a picture so you see what's happening. But there's a lot of stuff, but he's okay, and you know, we're just kind of waiting for more tests at this point. So, but anyways, I don't want to say too much. And again, thank you in advance. Peace, love, money. I'm out.